Hi, Sharon Brennan here, Cottage Lane Stamper. I'm an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator from the United States. And yesterday on my Facebook Live, I showed 5 or 6 different techniques on how to use the Soft Pastels. If you'd like to join me on my 2, 6, and 2 on my Facebook Live, it is Cottage Lane Stamper and Friends. So it's a public group, but you do have to request to join. So anyway, I showed technically 6 different techniques on how to use the soft pastels. And the soft pastels are like chalk, and they come in 8 different colors. There's So Saffron, Mango Melody, Poppy Parade, Coastal Cabana, Mossy Meadow, Granny Apple Green, Gorgeous Grape, and this is Night of Navy, even though it looks like Pacific Point, so we're going with what they said on the box. Anyway, today I'm going to show you how to use these with another technique that I thought of afterward, and I'm going to be using, I saw one of our demonstrators do this technique with this stamp set, and I thought it was so adorable I wanted to try it myself. It is in the new mini catalog. It's called Sweet Conversations, and it corresponds with the Sweetheart dies. And there are several little, I've got a couple dies that I've taken out that I'm using. There's the hearts, there's a tag, there's a tiny little envelope that you could tuck a little message in, there's a flag, 2 flags actually, and some more. These hearts are connected, and these are individual hearts. These are also individual. You can cut out a bunch of them at the same time. So I'll show you the other dies that I'm going to be using on this card. And this is a row of dies, and there's 6 of them, and they're all connected. And then there are some heart dies, and they are different shapes. As you can see, this one's kind of more of a rounded heart. And this one's got more of a point to it. And then there's this one here. So I'm going to be using these dies along with another die set called Stitch So Sweetly. So I'm using, I think, the medium one, or the largest one from this set for a background. So I'm going to show you, and I'm also using a paper pack from the Celebration catalog called Sunshine and Rainbows. So I'll be using one of these on the card today too, and I'm actually going to put the card together while we're together here. If you buy the stamp set, well, during Celebration from January 4th through the end of February, for every $50 that you spend, you get to pick one free item from the catalog, and that's where I got this paper from. So it's right there on that page. So, anyway, let's get going with this technique. I'm going to be using the Coastal Cabana, and I'm using my silicone mat, and I've already done one card, my sample card with this, but I'm going to show you how to use the technique. And we're also going to be using the Whisper White craft ink. So we're going to be using our take your pick tool, and this has got the pointy end on it, like the paper piercing end, and we're going to be using the flat end like a spatula. So we're going to put a little bit of oops, before we get started with that, I have to stamp my images. So I have a piece of white scrap paper, and I've got some stamps already mounted here. So I have Hug Me, and I should be using my paper piercing mat with my photopolymer stamps, getting it in the ink there. And I'm going to do BFF. Actually, it doesn't matter. I could use the same one because the words are going to get covered up. So, there. We're going to do 3 of them. Excuse me. Now we're going to take a little bit of craft ink, and I've got some here already that it's dried up a little bit, so we're going to squish some out in our a little silicone mat, and take your pick tool, and we're going to scrape some of the chalk right on top of that silicone mat. And I think that's enough. And I'm using a dry water brush. You could use a paintbrush, whatever you're comfortable with. There is water in this barrel, but I have not actually squished any into the point. So we're going to mix this up really good here. And this would be a good way to maybe make some of your own colors with the inkers, the dry inkers, and the chalks. So we're going to mix this up, and what this is going to do, it is going to give our image kind of a chalky effect. See if I can zoom in here a little bit for you. So we're just, and it's going to cover the words right up. I've got a little bit too much of my brush here. So the more chalk that you use and the less ink that you use, the more intense it's going to be. There. I'm going to put a little bit more chalk on this. Just maybe make it a little bit darker. See if I can get a little darker there. And it's covering up the words. Now I accidentally used a different ink the first time I made this card, and I couldn't figure out why I wasn't getting this chalky effect. And if you've been around, you might remember this ink. It is called Illuminate. This hasn't been available for quite a few years, but it was more translucent, and you could actually see the words through the ink here, but it did not give the chalky effect. So, but I liked this chalky effect because it looks more like the conversation hearts that you get to exchange, the kids use to exchange for, or maybe even adults, exchange for Valentines or give as treats. Now, if you I remember my Facebook group page, our CEO, Sarah Douglas, she actually demonstrated on how to, on using the same stamp set, I should say. I'm going to kind of squish that up a little bit so more of the black comes up. And this is going to need a little bit of time to dry. So I'm actually going to use my heat gun, and I'll be back with you in a minute. They're still a little tacky. As you can see, they're a little shiny, but we're going to go ahead and die cut them anyway. I'm going to bring in my little mini boss, and we'll zoom out a little bit. There we go. Forgot what drawer I stuck them in. So I moved them on myself. Put this here, and we're gonna get our dies. So I've got, I guess I used one of this, my intent was to use one of the longer shaped hearts. And I like to use removable tape, or you can use a Post-it to hold these in place. And I'm going to cut this one over here. And we'll mix through. I should get my chalks out of the way. I think we need more room here. There we go. These are probably going to stick to my cutting plate. There's a little bit on there. I'll wash that off a little bit. Got a wet wipe here. I'm just going to wipe that off. So I have one heart. We're done with that die. And got one more to cut. So we can line this up well. And run this through. Get our die here, our little heart. Put these back. Oh, I thought I had them in the first place. Get this out of the way. And throw this away. So we have our little hearts here, and we're going to use a piece of, isn't this pretty? These little tiny hearts on this. It's from the Celebration package that I had, and then I have already die cut a piece of basic white cardstock, and I can move it a little bit again. Oops, there. And I'm just going to find my Stampin' Seal. Oh, little flower. Attach this, and then we're going to use some dimensionals and attach the hearts. Put one here. And one here. And the third one up here. And then I also die cut a row of the hearts. These, now if I would have been thinking, I would have used my adhesive strip on the back of this to just peel off and stick this down, but I wasn't thinking that far in advance. So what I'm going to do, I can find my silicone mat here. I'm just going to take this and run some Stampin' Seal across it. I'm going to put this at the top. The only thing with doing that, it does leave a little bit of adhesive, so you can kind of roll it off there. And then I die cut some little hearts. Get these out of the way. And this is when I love to use my take your pick tool. So I have my, I'm going to use some glue dots, and I love this for picking these up and putting them on the glue dots. So it stuck to my finger. And make sure I get the right side up. So we're just going to take one of these off and put it over here. This doesn't work as here's the one stuck on my thumb. This is when I like to use this pointy end here. And pick this up and put that there. And we're going to do one more, I think. Let's see, this one here. I like to decorate in odd numbers, so. And that's never happened before. It slid right up. It's always when you're doing things live, right? There. And I had another thought too. What you could do is take these and put little dimensionals on the top, underneath, and pop them up, because these are actually the negative pieces of this. So it's Now this maybe we can do a couple just to see how it looks. So I'm going to take one here. And I think we'll put it here. And another one. I think that's a little bit smaller. I did use some of the smaller dies and die cut some, so they are a little bit smaller than the negative pieces from this die. So you could do that too for the whole row if you wanted to. And now we are going to put this on our piece of basic white cardstock that's 8.5 by 5.5, scored at 4 1/4. And before we do that, I have some ribbon I wanted to attach. I love this. What is it called? Whisper White. It's crinkle ribbon, I believe. That's what they call it. Crinkle seam binding ribbon. And I have a little tool that I use to make my bows. So I'm gonna run it all the way across. I want plenty on this side, and you could do this by hand too. I just kind of spoiled with this thing, so got adhesive on my fingers, so it's sticking to my fingers. The ribbon is, and cut that off. And we're going to take a little of our Stampin' Seal, and I'm going to put this right across. I'm going to turn that fan off because it's blowing things around here, and I'm going to put it right around the bottom here, so it kind of stands out a little bit more. And I must not have gotten my, nope, get it all the way to the bottom. There we go. And kind of wrap that around. I'm going to put this on here. I'll see one of my sides a little bit longer than the other. So I am going to flip it over so the longer side is on the front. And then I also have some sequins. They're from the Artistry pack. What is it called? Artistry and Bloom adhesive back sequins. And I'm going to put a few of these on here. Maybe a couple on the hearts. Just a few to give it just a little bit of bling. So there is our card. And a technique. I hope you like this technique. It's kind of fun. It's just another way to use your soft pastels. And if you haven't seen my video from yesterday, make sure you check it out. It's on my blog, cottagelanestamper.com. And I have listed all the tools that I use, all the supplies that I used yesterday to make those, and I will list them all for this card too for today. So thanks for stopping in. I appreciate it. If you have any questions, let me know, and make sure you subscribe to my blog so you don't miss any postings. So thank you. Bye.